The following presentation is brought to you by the KMmedia.pro network. Each channel is created to provide highly engaging and fascinating content presented in an entertaining light just for you. Please visit www.kmmedia.pro for complete information. So now, stay right where you are as we present
If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla.
In Think Energy, Dana Parker and I, Kevin McDonald, will delve deep into the world of energy and vibration. We will present great guests who are able to use energy in a positive, healing way, be it NLP, Reiki, mediumship, energy healing, spirit communication, and many more modalities. Our intention is to create a safe place for all of us to understand that everything is just, well, energy. And welcome everybody to another episode of Think Energy. And I'd like to first of all welcome our co-host for this for all time. I'm gonna drag her into it and screaming for the rest of the because she is really, really talented. Dana Parker is with us. She is a life coach. She specializes in working with women and women's issues so that they can live their best life and get through all of the guck that us stupid men put on them. And we do. Dana, how are you?
I'm great. Can you hear me okay? Just got everything set up.
Oh, you sound great.
Yay. I am so excited to be here, Jaimie. I am thrilled to meet you. I went on your website and you have such a way of expressing, and it gave me chills. They're just all these little things that you said that your words speak to my soul. So I'm thrilled to be here. So excited to meet you, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you.
And she would be talking about Jaimie Lerner, who is a Jaimie, I'd have you describe yourself to our audience, if you please.
I am a well-being therapist.
Very good. And when you're talking about a well-being therapist, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I think well-being is our birthright, and I assist people in assisting themselves getting from where they are to where they want to be.
And what is the process that you use to accomplish that?
A very loving and gentle process that's involves a lot of laughter, and that really is quite easy and quick.
I got to ask you, do you have better success with women or with men? Because men generally don't even bother to go to the doctor, let alone go to a wellness coach.
I have better success with men.
Really?
Because they are less emotional, and they tend to really buy into the notion that what you think about is what you create. And so they buy into that power trip, which is really helpful. And then they realize that it's up to them. Whereas women, we make a lot of excuses for ourselves as to why we have created limitations and limiting beliefs. And it's a little more difficult.
Oh, now, Dana, you don't have that problem.
Well, I agree with her. Women are highly emotional, and there's lots of stories, and that is one of the areas that is the area that I love. So diving into the stories and accountability for those stories and stepping into that, and I love that Jaimie has tuned into that too, and I can definitely see how it'd be easier at times to work with men. And everyone has their gifts and where their focus is, and I think it's beautiful. I love that to meet other individuals who are good at working with men. I think it's incredible, and our world could use more of that.
Now, do you find what percentage of men are actually interested in bettering themselves and are willing to come to you? Is it a broad range of guys, or is it kind of a specific narrower range? Because a lot of us are still, in the Stone Age, thinking that, we're with our knuckles dragging on the ground and that kind of stuff. Do you find that you have a broad appeal?
Did you want Dana to answer or myself?
That's for you, my dear.
Okay. So what I find is that I do appeal to more men because I don't believe you have to look forward or you have to look backwards in order to move forward. And I think that a lot of people are dreading having to look back and recreate all of that, whatever that was, in order to move forward. And so it's once again an easier sell for men because they're not wanting to make the emotional investment in the relationship with me. But what I end up doing is helping them make the emotional investment in the relationship with themselves. And that seems to solve everything and make everything more successful.
Why do you think it is that we have trouble making peace with ourselves? I hope that question makes sense.
I think that we live in a society that applauds that to being the victim. So we get a lot of attention and a lot of recognition for not taking personal responsibility. And it keeps us in a place of not being happy and not experiencing well-being and not tuning into our intuition and on and on and on. So when you give someone the option to do something a little different and they buy into that option, I think it starts to feel a whole lot better.
Dana?
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more. A lot of the experiences that I've had, and maybe it's coming from I guess the question is the way that I have done a lot of my healing is from resolving a lot of the past stuff and resolving that within me and coming to peace and the letting go of that. And so I would love to hear a little bit more about the process of because I feel like the understanding or perspective that I have is that those things still run ideas and programs within us and really shape how we perceive the world now. So can you give me some examples or things that you do? Because I'm fascinated by this perspective that you have. I would love to hear more about what that process looks like and not having to go into that.
So I ask people if they want to look back or feel the need to look back from their right here now adult perspective. Because when we look back from our adult perspective, it looks and feels a whole lot different. We are in our power. We are not young. We are not vulnerable the way that we remember it being. And when we're able to look at it from the eyes of our now, it really softens the tone of what all that was. Yeah. And we are better able to start taking personal responsibility for how powerful we are now because of that, whatever that was. So it just kind of catapults us to now and bring only the positive with us. And I think that then becomes so fun to start from there. And then the next question is, well, what do you want to? Which people avoid that question. People don't want to ask themselves a question like that. That's huge for most people. Yeah. And but once we can do that, oh my goodness, then it really gets very fun because we can create anything for ourselves, not for another. Yeah. And what ends up happening is people want to create for everybody else and avoid themselves. Right. And especially women.
Agreed.
Society makes it easy for them to do that. So
yeah. See, we're taught. I was raised that we grow up, we go get a career, we get a wife, we have a couple of kids, we have a picket fence, we have a house, we have a dog or a couple of dogs, and our job is to provide and go out and take the slings and arrows and and to go into the corporate world and to do all this stuff, and we don't think about ourselves. At least I don't, have never. I always thought about how I could take care of my family better and my kids and to do all that. How do you, so when do we get to work on ourselves and to take care of ourselves?
Well, first of all, that whole story has totally changed. So you need to update it because now men stay home and women go out and work.
Yes. Oh, sure.
I'm sorry.
I could never, in my entire existence, I could never have done that or allowed that to happen. So I guess I do. I guess I'm a Neanderthal.
But right now, I have to say, I think COVID has made it wonderfully easy for people to explore who they are and what they're wanting for themselves because they've not been able to just go out and do the same old thing that they're used to do. So that's a positive about this crazy virus.
Now, you said in your bio that you consider this your third life. Explain.
Well, actually, I think it's my fourth life or fifth life. And I think women are so wonderful at recreating themselves. I think most women have like a 9 lives. But no, I started really young and I had my career and I had my children and I traveled and now I have grandchildren and I just feel like I'm constantly reinventing myself. And I think that we all can do that in a way that's conscious. That's something that we're wanting for ourselves instead of feeling like we're so limited. And I think COVID has also done that for us. It's helped us really re-examine like who we are, what we're wanting. Do we want to work for someone else? Do we want to work for ourselves? I mean, lots of great questions have come out of that if we've used this opportunity to explore those things in a loving and curious way, of course.
And go ahead, Dana.
One of my questions is, how do you determine when you start asking those questions to yourself if you're answering them according to what culture or other people have told you versus what you actually want? How does someone determine that for themselves?
I think that is how you feel about asking yourself the question. That's the first thing. And if you're uncomfortable with the question itself, I think that's where you have to start. But a lot of people don't even know that they have an option to ask themselves these questions. So when you open that door, they kind of take a deep breath and they go like, wow, this is kind of fun. I never knew that I could ask myself these questions and really take some time, explore, and come up with some answers. And clearly there's no right answer. I think moment by moment we're changing depending on how we're feeling. So
it's about exploring is what I'm gathering from what you're saying. Exploring, trying new things. And one of my favorite lines in as I was reading about you with, which by the way, if those of you that are listening, please go to Jaimie's website, jaimielerner.com, jaimie-lerner.com. And there's a line that says, let's see, where you said you were lucky enough to be raised in a way where basically you were encouraged to explore, encouraged to really be curious and to just, I think even use wild abandonment.
It
was so beautifully written. I wish I could find the exact line, but it gave me chills and it made me wonder, kind of two parts of the question is, one, what did that do for you to have parents that just gave you permission to explore? And then two, how do you step into that as a parent? How do you cultivate that in the parenting realm with children? And that's one of my like heartburning questions right now.
Well, I grew up just at the most wonderful household and with great parents. My parents never gave us consequences. They always thought of it as try something and there's an outcome. And if the outcome is undesirable, try something different.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the spirit in which we were raised, which really allowed all 5 of us to explore and take time and to kind of get out there and do our thing. And so I'm very appreciative of that for sure. The thing I can tell you is that I had a very clear connection with myself since I was born, but not with my mom. So I spent half my life trying to figure that out. And what I finally realized was that she was not connected to herself. And that was why I was unable to feel connected to her, which is really how the book, The Ever-Loving Essence of You, came to be. And it really underlines that if we do not have a relationship with ourselves, we cannot have a relationship with others.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is so important. And maybe that sounds so big to have a relationship with ourselves, but it is singularly the most important relationship that we will ever have.
Right.
And it is avoidable, but I don't advise it.
Yeah, me either. I'm with you on that. Through life experience, avoiding that is not going to be the highest joy or fulfillment of life. And that journey it's a fascinating one, isn't it, Jaimie? The journey of knowing yourself and really understanding you. It's ever evolving. It's like there's never really a destination. It's enjoying the journey of that as it unfolds.
Yes, and a lot of that involves things like self-care, which women have a very difficult time doing. And they are forever looking outside of themselves for people to care for them and feeling disappointed in relationships that this person did not buy them flowers, or this person did not do this or that or the other.
Right.
You know what? Buy yourself some flowers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is self-care.
Yes.
Make your lunch in the morning as you're making your children's lunch and your husband's lunch and your pet's lunch. Those small things that you do for yourself, those translate into self-care. And it really underlines that you are important.
Yeah.
Little things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but sometimes we have to give people permission to do that.
Right. And to make meaning, because nothing has meaning except the meaning we give it.
It's so true.
Taking a shower for the day can be self-love, you know?
Exactly.
Like, oh, I'm
Exactly.
doing this because I love myself. I'm going to drink all the water that I need for the day because I love myself. It's like doing things with the intention of love. That's what creates the power with it. Like, there's so many things, little things that we can make meaning of that can add to that bucket. It's so powerful. And I love that you made it so simple of make yourself your lunch when you're making everyone else lunch.
Well, it's
beautiful.
In terms of how we extend this spirit on to our children, I think we have to trust ourselves. And most parents fear that their children will make the mistakes that they made. And so to forgive yourself, whatever those mistakes were, and they probably were just experiences and not mistakes, and to begin to trust yourself. I think when you trust yourself, then you're able to trust your children. And when you trust your children, they are forever tuned in. And that is the greatest gift that you can give any child. Instead of tuning out, they're tuned in and they can navigate from the inside out.
Yeah. And they can feel how you feel about them. They can feel if you don't trust them. And then it causes them to not trust themselves.
Exactly.
And they can feel if you trust them.
Yes.
And I love that you bring it back to you. If you don't trust you, then you're not going to trust them.
Or anybody else for that matter.
Yes. And so it's all within you to do that healing, to do that work, to step into by choice, and then spread that. Beautifully said. Oh, I love it. So good, Jaimie.
I'll tell you, Dana, you are just you're on it, and I really appreciate having you here because you are asking some incredibly detailed and complex, wonderful questions, and
it speaks my language. I just love it. It is a specific kind of language to live this way and to teach these things, and it takes time to develop that and to be in that, and so that language. And I love, to me, when I meet another person who is in this world and sharing and helping others. I just feel so honored. It's like you're a mirror for me, showing me the beauty of the work that we do in our own way, in our own flavor, in our own time. And I just feel such a beautiful connection. So thank you for showing up today, Jaimie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's blessing my world.
So let me ask you, Jaimie, did you prefer to work with people one-on-one? You have a nice, quiet, soft tone to you. So are you really, so is it one-on-one how you feel like you connect best with people?
It doesn't really matter to me. I can really work with anyone in any capacity. The thing that I'm loving now that I started a while ago is a texting service. So I have a lot of texting clients, and I love that because when people are texting me, they are really using me as like a conduit. They are answering their own question by asking me the question. And then there's also accountability, because I think when we talk about something or speak to somebody, we're only able to remember it in the moment. And then we're on to the next moment. And we forget about how we felt or what we were talking about specifically. But in the texting, it's wonderful because clients can go back and read what they wrote. And then they can begin to trust themselves because they can say, wow, like I did know the answer to this. And that's super important. So, but I will work with anyone who is willing to take personal responsibility. And that's a tough one. A lot of people are not interested. And I say, if you're not interested, that's fine. At least admit it and take responsibility for not wanting to take responsibility.
Yes.
And then you're not a victim.
Yes.
Does everybody who thinks they're taking responsibility for themselves is actually taking responsibility for themselves?
No, I think that people who think they're taking responsibility for themselves are people that are not minding their own business and are far too interested in what other people are doing. So, and that would be 90% of our society. You know, when you're taking responsibility for yourself, you don't really care what other people are doing. I mean, whatever they're doing, and you're fine with it because it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but when the next door neighbor buys that brand new Jeep or whatever, and you have to play the and I'll speak to my particular gender. We are very competitive with other men because we want to be stronger, we want to be faster, we want to be better at the corporate ladder, we want to make more money, we want to have a prettier wife, all of those things. How do you get somebody to realize that that's all superficial bullshit and it doesn't matter?
You begin to direct them back to themselves, because when people are connected to themselves and really working on themselves in a way that feels good, they're not distracted by what other people are doing. As a matter of fact, they're happy for the neighbor that got whatever that car is because they can relate to that success. They can relate to how good it feels to be successful instead of feeling lack within. And that's where competitiveness comes from. So I think it really creates a nice balance. And then those men become very successful at work as well because they are focused on one thing, themselves.
Dana?
I love that. I think in those moments, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. In those moments, really, those men are seeking out a feeling, an emotion, and if you can really point them in the direction of you cultivate that emotion, you choose that emotion, and it's not the car that creates it, it's not the house, it's not the job, you choose it. And you can choose it anytime, any day, anywhere, and you can make meaning of it anywhere in your life. I think that becomes a really powerful experience, that the things outside of you don't define you or create your worth. That trophy wife, that car, those things aren't you. They don't define and make you worthy or make you better. It's you that chooses that. And so why not choose it in every part of your life already?
Very well said. And I agree. But once again, I don't think people understand.
I agree.
So you educate them in a way that helps them look at things a little differently.
Yeah. And that's just one little perspective shift at a time, one little baby step. And Jaimie, a lot of the work that you do, is it through questions?
Yes, I never tell people anything that they need or what they should do.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reassuring people that they know the answer, because most people know the answer, but they don't sit with themselves long enough to ask the question and allow themselves to receive the answer. And I am downloading information all day long from I don't even know where, but I trust myself and I'm so open to receiving that that's just what it is. And I believe we can all do that. That's not my gift. I think that's the gift of well-being.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recognize the difference between a download and your ego?
I don't have an ego.
Oh,
I have zero. I do not have an ego. I just do not. I just don't.
How do you believe other people experience that?
That people experience that they have an ego?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people operate from ego, which is a defense. And I think that is their disconnection with themselves. When you're in your ego, you're not connected to yourself. When you're connected to yourself, you don't need an ego. I mean, literally, sometimes it's very frustrating because people can't get to me. I'm very allowing. Whatever you want to do is fine. It has nothing to do with me. I don't have a point of view about it. And that's frustrating for people because sometimes that translates into that I don't care, that I am haughty, that it's not that. It's okay. Whatever you need to do for yourself, that's great. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So it would be very frustrating to have an argument with you.
It would be very frustrating. I don't like to argue. I mean, I love to converse with people, and I love to explore ideas and thoughts, but no, like I have to say, I'm like a pleasure junkie. I will do anything to feel good, and I know that's up to me. A lot of that is my thoughts, my feelings. That all comes from me.
I want to reiterate that for people listening and people going back to watch this. It is up to you. What Jaimie said, that truth, if you can really embrace that in your life, if you can really live that way, dedicate your life to living that way, and even if you don't know how, just setting the intention that you want to live that way, that you take full accountability and responsibility that happiness is you. It is up to you. You choose it. You get to participate in that in whatever way you get to, and choose out of what's not that easily. I mean, if someone comes to you, this is something a good friend of mine, Rochelle Moyer, taught me. If someone comes to you with all the drama and they're trying to pull you in, you can simply in your mind just say, choose not to participate in that. And you can just listen and just be there in the moment. But energetically, you don't have to choose into that. Same thing with the job loss. You don't have to choose into that, meaning that you're a failure. You can choose not to participate in that. It's like picking and choosing by choice, consciously, taking full responsibility that it's up to you. You choose your emotions. You choose how you feel and what it means about you. That is life-changing and easier said than done.
Well, it's like being at the salad bar and choosing what you want to eat. It's exactly that. You don't go over everything you don't want and think to yourself, I don't want this. It's just, you just don't pick it. And you move on to something you do want.
Right.
I don't think there are salad bars anymore, but
yeah. And sometimes you don't want something because you've tasted it and you're like, nah, that's not for me. I like this. I know I like this because I've had that and it tastes good. More of that. Yes to that.
So ladies, and I guess this is for both of you, but we'll start with Jaimie. when a guy comes to you and doesn't recognize or doesn't realize that he's living in his ego, and you're trying to get him to understand, to take care of himself and to value who he is, how do you get that message across?
Well, it starts with questions that this person has probably never even asked themselves. And it starts with, exploring. And so men are much more emotionally intelligent than women. And that makes this job easy, to work with someone who has an emotional intelligence. It
Now,
really does.
explain that to me, because I've been told I'm emotionally intelligent. What the hell does that mean?
That means that you're able to sift through your emotions and think about things that in a way that are not emotional. So, and that sometimes is very frustrating to women because they want you to be emotional. Not only that, they want you to read their mind and know emotionally what they are thinking. So I'm sure you've been in that situation and are completely confused. You don't even know why the person is angry at you or upset with you. And they're convinced that you've done something terribly wrong because you have not anticipated how they're feeling emotionally.
I lived half my married life that way.
Yeah. Common.
And really, we have to laugh about it. It's just a lot of relationships end up in misunderstandings because of just so.
And would you say, Jaimie, that most at that crux, when a woman is saying you need to read my mind and you need to know, and you should know how I'm feeling, a lot of times a pattern that I can notice is that woman's not really in tune with her or speaking up about her and what she needs.
Exactly.
And it all comes back to that woman. It's not about the man. It's about you tuning into you, knowing what you need, and then speaking up and asking for it. And if it can't be provided, then you make that happen. You find another way and you provide those needs for yourself.
And I prefer to ask women to provide them for themselves and then ask for it, because until you can give it to yourself, you can't even receive it. It doesn't, no, there would be no end to the giving and you not receiving, and you get nowhere. So it's never about the other, ever. And people don't like to hear that. You can never blame anybody for anything. My kids, they get upset with me. They're like, Mom, you let everybody off the hook. And I said, I know, isn't that great? They're like, what is wrong with you?
Well, it's like, Jaimie, I spent half my married life going, what?
What did I do?
You need to explain to me. I have no earthly idea why you're pissed at me. You need to tell me.
Yeah, no, I believe that. It gets unnecessarily complicated, I have to say. And the reason to laugh about this often and a lot is because it's unnecessary. A lot of it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for both of you, and I'm hoping that at this point or another that this person will listen, or that this is a common idea, common thought. There seem to be some people that are not able to delve beyond superficial. They can't go deeply into themselves. They can't go deeply into another, and prefer to live life on the surface, where they go and they live just, moment to moment on the surface. If there's a problem, if there's trouble, they deal with the problem, kinda, and then they sweep it under the rug. They never deal with it. They pretend it didn't happen, and they just continue. How do you get people to understand that living on the surface is not living a complete life, and that they're wasting their time? How do you get them to go deeper?
You don't. They don't have to go deeper. They're fine. Everybody's fine. And then there's more. So the question is, you can be fine or you can want more. Most of the population is just fine. They are not thriving. They are not happy, but they're fine. So you just allow those people to be where they are, and then you move along. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Why not?
That's quite a skill as a therapist.
Well, how about just as a person? I have friends who are like, they're just fine. And you know what? That's fine with me. You know, the problem is that when you have something, you want everybody to have it. But it's not, who are you? Who am I? That would be ego. If I thought everyone should act or be like me, that's ridiculous. It works for me, and what works for you is great. And everyone should do what works for them. But stop blaming everybody else when it isn't working. That's the whole point. Just take responsibility and just admit that you've like effed up your own life, and that's great. And then, and who cares? And that's okay. We're okay with that.
You know, a few people will say, I really screwed myself up, and it's nobody else's fault but mine, and I did this to myself, and stuff. Because then they can have, if you believe that honestly, and you have that conversation with yourself, then you can honestly make the changes necessary to make life a little bit better.
Very easily.
But why don't we do it?
I don't know, because we're lazy. And we're disinterested, and I don't know. I'm not really sure, but who cares, right? Literally, who cares?
There's a lot of individual reasons, I think, that people do that. And I can relate so much to what you said, Kevin. And I think that the day that I tapped into, okay, this person doesn't want to participate at a deeper level, and I really want to. In this type of relationship, I really want to. So what does that mean? They're really not interested, and I can't make them. So then I get to move on, and I get to move to a different place, and that's okay. I have permission to do so, even if it's hard, even if it means, separation, divorce. For me, it was I understand that I would like something different. I want this part of the salad bar.
Well, the thing is, though, if you can do that and not make the other person wrong, then you've done it with grace. And that is the most wonderful thing that you can do. You can do all of that and not make anyone wrong.
That can make me cry, because
I
feel like I did. I feel like that it was just we wanted something different, and it's okay.
It's totally
and there's nothing
okay.
wrong with him, and there's nothing wrong with me. We just want something different.
Yeah.
And it's because I've never experienced divorce, and I actually don't have a lot of people in my world that have. My goal was no regrets, and to really be just no regrets. And I think to handle it with grace, really. And so thank you for that, Mir. And I just fully receive that. And it is so nice to hear that. So nice to hear that. Thank you.
What's terrible in my world was that we got married when I was 25. She was 21. And so we didn't know anything. And we didn't know much about getting deep, and we didn't know about having to have a deeper relationship. It was all, just fun and games and trips and stuff, and didn't need to be deep. But as you get older, you decide that you want to have a deeper relationship with somebody rather than it be a superficial thing. And it's really frustrating when the other person is like, cannot even comprehend what you're talking about when you're trying to delve into that, and then they make it so that then you have to make a choice: stay or go, have a good relationship or go. And that was the frustrating part for me, because I really didn't want to. Well, I didn't go; she did, but it was because I was pushing. I was pushing for deeper, and for more, and for more spiritual, and for a better relationship. And it wasn't like. She grew up in a household that was very superficial. So did I, but I wanted more. I wanted it deeper. How do you get people to, when you have a marriage that is like that, and you have one that wants to go deeper and the other one doesn't, can you save that marriage, or is it like you need to find a different partner?
Well, what's interesting? When you individually choose to go deeper and have a deeper relationship with yourself, it really doesn't threaten the marriage. It's only when you're projecting that onto the marriage that the problem begins. So if you yourself just thought this was a fine marriage, but me personally, I'm gonna really tune into myself, and I'm gonna create a more connected relationship with myself. And you did not try to involve her or blame her or even make it like it had anything to do with her. Then you would have been fine, because the deeper you went with yourself, the better understanding you would have had that where she is fine. And then you would have been like Dana. You would have allowed her to go do her thing, and you could do your thing, and it would be okay.
Well, and we did that, and then she ended up with another guy that she was doing her thing with, and so that became a bit of an issue.
So how is that going now? Is she still with that guy?
No.
Uh-huh.
He was as dysfunctional as the day is long, and the sad thing is, and this, I'm bearing my soul, but the sad thing is I knew him 10 years before she did, and I knew his wife, his first wife, and the two kids, and she was an adorable lady, and he left her. Then he had another girlfriend that I knew, and he was bad to her, and so my wife decided that she was going to be friends with him, and we didn't get along. And so anyway, she ended up having an affair with him, but that didn't last. And so her life she's never been able to get to where she wants to go. So now, anyway, so.
But guess what? That has nothing to do with you. And so what was the upside for you as a result of that marriage?
Did you ever see the movie Braveheart?
That's a very long time ago.
Yes. When he says, "Freedom!"
Well, that's amazing. Good for you.
I love that.
Because at the end of the day, at the end of that, I was able to declare that I am who I am, and I have the freedom to choose what I'm going to do, who I'm going to do it with, who I'm going to associate with, and what I choose to do is to do exactly what we're doing today.
Well, that is a beautiful thing. And for all of that, you can look back at that marriage with a lot of appreciation. Because if it was not because of those experiences, you wouldn't have freedom and be where you are. And that's how we can make every story a happy ending. Because if we can go back and find appreciation for the person or the place or the thing that got us to where we are right now, it ends up being really nice. There's no regrets. There's no remorse. There's nothing.
I am in Dana's ballpark in that I love you. You're great.
I know.
I love you really are centered and have it together, and I think that you can really help people. Dana, don't you agree?
Oh yeah. I love what you teach. I love what you're about. And one of my favorite things is you feel like you live what you're teaching. And I personally really value that for me. And I commend you for that, because I think that it's important to be living what you're teaching to the best of your ability. And if you're not, so it is. And there's something to be respected, I think, in somebody who, this is the way I live, this is what I do, this is what I choose, and I teach it too.
Well, thank you so much. And I think as, helping professionals, that's our responsibility to walk our talk. That's it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to say we are only responsible for the delivery. We're not responsible for how it's received. And that's also important to keep in mind. So.
But you both recognize, and I consider both of you, Dana is a good friend, and I believe that she has the heart of gold, and so do you. But there are lots of therapists, and there are lots of people that are in that work of self-help or motivational speaking and all of that do not have that heart-centered thing. How can you tell the difference if you're going to work with somebody between somebody who is heart-centered like you are and somebody that is ego-driven and doing it for the book sales and the money and the notoriety and all that?
I think it comes across pretty clear. and pretty quickly. But on the other hand, there is a client for every professional out there. And so it's law of attraction. I believe that there are many people that attract those kinds of helping people into their life. And there's other people that attract, Dana and I into their lives. And the nice thing is a lot of attraction sorts it out. There's someone and something for everyone. And that's a beautiful thing.
I can understand your kids' point of view. It's like, Mom.
I know. They are. They're just like,
Cut them off at the kneecaps, Ma.
Yeah.
And Dana, I imagine your kids, as they're getting older, are kind of the same way. It's like, my mom is so nice.
Oh, my 6-year-old's so cute. He said, Mom, I love your love.
Oh,
It's so sweet. It's not the same as everyone else's love. It's different. And it's so well said from a 6-year-old. Just so cute. Oh.
And I'll bet you your heart melted all over the floor.
That's just like, yeah, I received those words. Thank you. That is such a beautiful mirror. And he's just my little cuddly. I think he feels older, wiser than me. I'm just here.
We learn so much from our children.
I
we
know.
allow ourselves to. I mean, they're our greatest teachers.
I agree.
They truly are.
And no one really teaches you that they will show you all of your stuff that's calling for love and healing. Yes. They will show you those things. They will show you your past issues, your past traumas. They will show you. And when you learn to love those parts of you, you actually can show up in more love for them. So. And that is the incredible gift of walking the journey of doing this work is you can just completely surround them in love because you love yourself, because you're connected to yourself and understand your life and yourself and what things you experienced and the things that shaped you.
It's very true.
Ladies, I have to tell you, this has been a wonderful discussion. And Jaimie, will you come back and so that we can pick your brain some more and do some more
stuff?
No,
I will come back so we can laugh.
Yay! I would love that intention. Yes.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much.
Oh, that is one of my favorites.
That is awesome. But before we go, I want you to be able to say anything that you want to for our audience, anything that's on your heart to be able to tell them right now, for people that are here and listening or people in the future.
Do not take yourself so seriously. Love yourself, trust yourself, and laugh a lot. That's what I have to say. Yeah.
I love laughter. That is
great, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it can be so freeing.
Absolutely.
It's yeah. So, thank you so much. Go to Jaimie Lerner, Jaimie-Lerner.com, and you can get all the information that you need about her. She would be a dynamic person to work with, don't you think, Dana?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we would like to have you back because you're we could spend more time talking, but we're I want to honor your time. So I want to thank you very much for being here. This is Think Energy. This is a show that we do every Friday, so you can do it live, or you can watch this later because this is the type of information that is absolute pure gold. And it can change. It can really be a life-changing moment for you if you choose. So, ladies, if you'll stay right there, I got to do this, and we'll be right back. Thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of kmmedia.pro. Please visit our website, oddly enough, named kmmedia.pro, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to each other because each other's all we've got. We'll see you next time.